I'm going to start the recording. And let's make sure it's broadcasting.
Okay, I'd like to call the Harvard Administration Committee meeting to order June 18th, 2025, 6:31 p.m. Roll call, there are only two members present, John Lavallee and myself.
Of course.
What's that?
Hardcore,
exactly.
dedicated.
Yes, dedicated. The two dedicated council members are here. Unfortunately, our other council members have actual real reasons that they cannot be here this evening, which I won't go into. So we cannot conduct business, but we can meet to discuss items on the agenda. And then anything where action needs to be taken would just go to the council meeting, or if it can be, we'll postpone that to next month. Yeah, so with that, public comment. Okay, no public comment. We can't approve minutes, so that will go to the July meeting. And then discussion of the water meter replacement policy ordinance amendment. Is that Rob to give us the lowdown?
So, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
In this, we recently had a business owner who, one of their tenants had a water supply issue. We went in there, we checked the meter. We couldn't read the meter. They had painted over it. They had registered an ineligible or irreadable. They damaged it basically to the point where we had to remove the meter physically, take it back to the shop, scrape everything off of it, and it was bad. So we went back to replace it. We put in a new meter. As it was conveyed to me, anytime we do this because of freezing, damage, anything outside the meter failing itself, we impose a $250 fine. So I told Ruby, meter replacement fee. This one was damaged by them, and the building owner went on the city's website and found a section in, I think it was Public Works or Utilities, and it says right here, it says the city will replace the meter at no cost to the building owner anytime at request. And then Deb and I started looking through the code. There's no mention of the $250 anywhere. So between the two of those, we kind of just had to go their way. And even though most of the time when somebody leaves a house vacant and it freezes and we charge them, they understand. There was that little loophole for people who really wanted to dig into it. So this is just basically closing the loophole.
Yeah.
With the cost of the meters rising here and there, in order not to come back and recodify it every time. It was just based upon, so the cost of the meter doubled, so that way that covers whatever the cost of the meter is and the cost of staff time, vehicle time, all that stuff to go out and change the meter, make the meter appointment. So that was basically what we were trying to do with that.
So is there still language that says that we'll replace?
So
Because I don't see anything that's removing that language.
that's not in the code, so we're just going to remove that from the website.
Oh, okay.
So
It was,
So here it says, sorry. Here it says, see the City of Harvard Common Codes and Policies for info.
Okay.
This is where it used to say that.
Oh, right
So it's
there it
already
said
been
that.
sorted.
Oh, okay, so it was just right
yeah.
on the website. Okay,
So that's been correct.
yeah. And then what's the helpful water meter tips?
Oh, this is to help you in terms of how to try and read your water meter and, how much water you would leak if you had holes
Okay,
in your system, and just kind of try and help you find a leak if you have a leak.
oh, okay,
So it's
okay. Well, it
one of the
seems pretty
things we're often,
straightforward.
people will say is, we'll say, hey, well, we might have a leak. I don't have a leak, but truthfully, oftentimes they don't think they have a leak when they actually do, especially the toilets, because toilets, you know, you have the flapper valve.
Right.
The flapper valve will slowly leak over time, and then it's got an autofill valve, right?
Yeah.
So when the float drops, toilet says, "Oh, I need water," so it refills it and then the float comes back up, turns off the water. If you don't pay attention to that toilet doing that, you can lose thousands of gallons, and generally that is the most common place that people have a leak. There are other things like your water softener or
Drippy faucet.
yes, a dripping faucet, which
It
you know
doesn't
people
take much.
it's dripping. They kind of ignore it. Well,
Yeah.
it adds up, and so. But the most common place where there are leaks and people don't recognize is on their toilet.
Yeah.
And we've had issues where people don't believe it or will come in there. And a lot of times I'll get residents who complain about meter fees or water fees, and it's like, well, I have a high bill, and you look at their history, and it was like, well, you used 15 units now. Last month it was 12, 13, 15, 12, 13, 15. You're like, I don't see a leak. A leak is like you're 12, 13, 15, 30.
Right.
But,
Right.
and too often it's, well, we're a family of 5 and we don't have a pool. Our neighbors have a pool. Like, that doesn't matter. And then you break it down, like, we build you for 15,000 gallons. If you split that out, it's like 200 gallons a day for a family of 5. Like an average shower head flows 2.5 gallons a minute, 10-minute showers,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it,
you do
it
the
adds up
math. It
quick.
adds up quick. Yeah. Wow. Any questions?
But we're getting free water right now. So if you're a pool
no.
owner,
We are?
you
Oh,
not
wow,
hear it?
yeah, no, we have ours covered, so we're
Ah.
not getting any free water. Although she's getting free water for her plants.
for the garden, yeah.
She's
Yeah.
watering the heck out of it.
I know that the garden at the pool needed some water, so.
Yeah, well,
I just wanted to add for the record on this. So we're changing, chapter 13, we're also changing the fees or adding to the chart in chapter 20. And that's not going to be a set cost. It's 2 times the actual cost because those costs of those meters will change. And obviously labor to install miscellaneous material.
Yep.
So those will be the 2 changes that you'll see in the ordinance on Tuesday, ordinance draft.
Okay.
And these both have been reviewed by the attorneys as well.
Okay.
They made a few changes just to
Yeah.
clean it up, so.
Okay.
So in the column where it currently says 113.30, it would be changed to 2x actual cost?
No, that's something different. We're gonna add a line. And it
Oh, you're
will
gonna
say-
add a line?
Yes,
Okay.
and it'll say, if you look at the red.
Yep,
In section 20.
damage and then two times
Yes.
actual cost.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Let's see. Item number 7 is discussion action City Hall window replacement bid review. So who's this? Deb?
Deb,
Okay.
So this proposal in front of you is for replacement of the windows. If you remember during the budget, we had budgeted 80,000 for this. And we only had one packet submitted proposal. This is it. He is obviously over. This includes the large windows in the front of City Hall that weren't done last year and the 2 triangular windows on the north and south. Excuse me. So I went back and I asked him if he could split out the front from the top and give us a price so that we could decide whether or not we wanted to forego maybe one of those projects this year and add it to next year's budget, or try to find extra funds to get it all done this year.
Yeah.
And as you can see in his email, by doing that, it adds to the cost, obviously, because it's not as efficient for them.
Right.
As well as the fact that if we waited on one of those for next year, we're probably going to pay more for inflation as well.
Right.
So one of the discussions that we were going to have is to look at possibly using some funds from capital improvement, which I did include that spreadsheet of where we're at in that
Okay.
count. But since then, we received an email from a constituent taxpayer who was a former elected official, who's still involved, thank you.
Yeah.
With actually an idea that.
An overachiever.
Yes, it was an idea he had, which I actually had a chance to look into this afternoon, of possibly insulating and drywalling the triangular windows at the top,
Oh,
and then, painting them, maybe a mural down the road. So I actually had Rob send over one of our public works guys who's also a carpenter by trade. He
Okay.
took a look at it. He's like, yeah. He's like, that could be done. It'll take a couple days. It could probably be done in-house, so it would just cost us material.
yeah.
And, trim it up nice to kind of match the other wood. And from the outside, we looked at it, and I don't think it's going to appear any differently from the outside than it already does. And
Yeah.
you can't see the outside from the back at all. You'd have to stand way back.
Okay.
There's a house there.
Unless you're in the
Unless you're in
neighboring
that,
house
right.
upstairs and looking
Okay.
across, you can't really, you don't have a vantage point to be able
Right.
to see those windows.
Yeah.
And then the front, you can see somewhat more in the fall when the trees don't have the leaves, but, it's not like it's an eyesore or anything, and
Right.
he had said that even if it we got done, like, we just don't like the look of that, he could always put something on the front as well, like some
Yeah.
kind of siding or something that would just kind of decorate it up so
Yeah.
that it wasn't so, if we didn't like the way it looked.
You could put the city logo there.
Yeah, or we could do something with the window as well, too, like some kind of a screen. Yeah, so.
Well, the
anyway,
windows are all already kind of frosted.
They are frosted.
So
Okay.
in the one gable that you can see from the street, we have shades there because those, in certain times of year, the sun comes in and it's
Okay.
pretty blinding. So the light from the window isn't really utilized in the building. Architecturally, it looks nice, but so from the outside, there's no reason to just leave the window the way it is. It's not leaking. The issue is really about energy efficiency. Well, we cover and insulate.
Yeah,
We accomplish that.
exactly.
And we can do that at a fraction of the cost.
So you leave the windows. You
Just leave the window in
Yeah.
place, yes.
And they actually would probably be more efficient, more insulated than if we replace the windows.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
And probably never have to be done again.
Right.
So that would actually give us a little extra. If we just did the front windows, we'd have a little extra for the material to do those
Yeah.
drywall projects. And if we had the time to do it in-house, then we'd be better off, so.
And I think that's a project we could do when Public Works isn't quite so
Right.
busy during warm months.
Exactly.
That's an easy project to do in the winter months when there's
If it's not snowing.
less things to do,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Right.
No
Those are
snow,
options.
No water main breaks.
Yes, right.
I was kind of a little bit concerned with what the estimate doesn't include.
Okay.
And then do not include. Is that stuff in there?
So
Some of that stuff needs to be done.
the
and he
auditor
didn't give us
operators
costs for it.
Are already there.
Yep.
They're brand new, and the company that did those is the same company that's doing this project.
Okay.
Uh,
What about the demo? What does he mean by that? Not gonna pay, it's gonna be extra to take out the old? What are you saying? That's kind of what I was thinking.
I believe that was on last year's as well. I think the demo is like any kind of like wall removal, anything other than removing the windows. Like any kind of build outs that would be required if we were doing an architectural change. But I will verify that with
I would
him.
verify that, yeah.
I'll verify that with him before Tuesday. Because that is a good question. So- The rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. Were there any other questions with the rest of them?
No, I don't think so. The demo one kind of hit me, then not really sure what he's talking about, the wood, fiberglass, linden molded doors and frames. We're not doing anything with the doors and whatnot, right?
No,
Just the
That
windows.
was all done last year. He's
I
working
feel
all
like some
around
of
it.
that's boilerplate.
Yeah.
Maybe, okay.
But I will check.
All right. So then, if we just do that, the windows in front, those are what?
Then we're looking at 63.
63,000. And how much did we budget? 80?
Excellent, thank you. Okay. Item number 8, draft compensation study report, preliminary review.
I sent this out to committee
Yeah.
Friday
Yeah,
in PDF form. I did not make copies of
yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
it's
document.
long, yeah.
And I believe Jeanette uploaded it with the packet. She sent it to the entire
Yep,
council.
she
We
did.
did not upload it on the website, so the only copies that you have are the electronic. If you want a hard copy, I can provide one. I just didn't make copies ahead.
Okay,
Rachel King from MGT will be at our
July, right?
July,
The regular city council.
yes, to,
okay.
is it June?
I don't think it's next week, so I think it's in July.
Okay. To present.
Okay,
Should be at a meeting either June or July, I'll verify that.
I feel like it's July, but maybe, we didn't discuss that point. We've been in discussions back and forth for the last few weeks, so I didn't think she would be ready by Tuesday.
Yeah, I did notice, I kind of read through it. The copy that was included wasn't very clean in the email.
yeah, it was pretty fuzzy, like
Was it
to
hard
read the tables.
I had to,
Yeah, you had to shrink
reduce
it.
the
Yeah.
resolution because it's so long.
Oh, yeah,
So I'll make sure, I'll get hard copies together so that you have something. There's a lot of information in the document that I sent.
There is.
She's gonna break it down into a nice presentation for us, so.
That'll be very helpful because when we first started the process and, we're like, kind of need you to walk us through what we're looking at because it was, but once you did, it was like, all right, all that makes sense now, so.
Yeah, she
I
explained
think,
it very well.
yeah, I think it'll go pretty smoothly.
yeah, because it was hard to, it was just hard to figure out some of the, just to process some of the tables, because they were kind of blurry. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm like, oh crap, gotta go to the eye doctor. Yeah, I know, I wondered about some of the, their choices on comparable communities, and I guess I had been under the impression from when we hired them that they already had data, like data from, salary data from other municipalities, and they didn't. Because there were most of the communities in their top 25, they didn't get any data from. And so we ended up with comparables being like Cary, which really isn't comparable. I mean, it might be in some things, but yeah. And
I think
overall-
the issue there is, you're right. They definitely, when they went to go do the report or the study, they queried all these communities, but not every community responded or had a comparable position. So,
Right, but I
beyond
mean, you can
that-
even go in, I mean, this is what Charlie and I did when we were looking at the salaries for the administrator, when we were going for that process, and then we also did it looking at Deb's, when we were looking at adjusting her pay that first time. I mean, we literally went into the municipalities, just freedom, the transparency laws. You have to have that information of what you're paying people available on your website. And so we literally went into websites of communities that he and I sort of said, okay, these are comparable communities, and just looked up and it's like a year old, but
Right.
but still, it was like good information, like especially looking at your position at that time, that it was like, okay, whatever else you might say about whether or not we're really comparable to Rochelle,
Right.
or Sandwich or whatever, we're, way out of whack.
So what they did, and it was kind of interesting, we didn't know this until we started looking into it, because this has been going on since January.
Yeah,
So we started in January, and the company's representatives reached out to every position within the city. So she spoke to, so first we all did surveys, for lack of a better term.
that was what was provided in one of the
Yes.
appendices, okay.
And we had to fill all of those out and get those back to Lou, and then those were reviewed by him and submitted to the company. Then she in turn met with each of us virtually and did like an interview with her where we went over each of our questions for clarification, and
Yeah.
if she had questions, we did extra explanation or whatever, and then our positions were rated. And
Okay,
she has a
yeah.
whole rating system she does, and like for the police department, for example, she spoke to one officer and one sergeant. They didn't talk to every single
Okay.
officer,
Yeah.
just one person from each position, similar with Public Works too, right? Of course. So, and then from there, they did their review of those job descriptions and tried to match those the best they could with the positions from these other communities that they did comparables on based on population. I believe they looked at median income. So several different factors. One of the issues, not issues, one of the things we ran into though when doing, then the information came back to us and we had to evaluate it. So we went through it, the mayor and I sat down and went through it in very deep, in-depth evaluation of
Yeah.
everything. One of the things we found was that several positions within our city wear multiple hats.
Right.
So we broke all of that down for Rachel, and then we submitted that information back to her. And from there, she did a second reevaluation of those positions and tried to match those again with other communities or combine them. So if you had, one person doing two positions and how much of their time is spent doing this
Right.
versus this, and well, this salary would be this, and then 50%, and kind of
And that was sort of reflected on the
on the report.
report, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there was a lot of work that went into that, and so I think that's, above and beyond just going to a website and saying, oh,
Yeah.
finance director makes this.
Right.
Looking actually
Sure.
at the job description
Sure.
and things that are done.
Yeah,
So,
which is good.
Yeah.
A prime example is our community service officer who does community service police work, but also has a huge role in IT for the city.
Oh, right.
So his collateral duties, as he has a large portion of his time is dedicated to IT services, and then another portion is dedicated to evidence handling because he's the evidence
Right.
tech. Depending upon the month,
Right.
what that mixture is
Yeah.
may vary, but it also highlighted for us, a few things about like we have some people under a particular rating or that's not right,
Score.
job description that doesn't quite fit what they do, and maybe under the new union contract we would create a new what is that called, a tier, I guess, or
like a grid job.
yeah,
grid.
that it has for that position. So because we're kind of pigeonholing someone into that, and so we set up a new scale under this new position that's better defined than the way we currently have it.
Yeah.
So and because the position does wear multiple hats, one thing might have one type of score in terms of the job, and then the other job might have a different scoring. So we took a percentage of their job in each of
Right.
those to try and figure out what is the
Yeah, what would be?
cumulative
Yeah.
number. Right?
Okay, yeah, I thought that was how I was interpreting
Right,
some
okay,
of the
good.
stuff I was seeing in there, yeah, which
So-
makes a lot of sense.
For certain, we have a whole lot more data than we did before,
Sure.
and we can really kind of now, once council has approved, we can start creating a framework, I think, for when it comes time for salary negotiations as well as union contracts.
And then some of the appendix items that you probably couldn't read, they also went through and evaluated vacation time,
Yep.
compensation time, health insurance.
Yeah, looks
Some
like we have we're pretty
We're
generous.
very generous.
Yeah, compared
We're-
to, yeah,
Very generous.
yeah.
All the way around.
Yeah.
Well, there's some areas in the salary range that were a little low, but for the most part,
Yeah,
When it comes to the benefit side,
really high.
our
Yeah,
employees have great benefits.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
the salary is somewhat offset by that.
well, but it's not like our salaries are low.
Yeah.
I did
depending-
not notice that.
Depending
No.
upon the position,
Yeah.
there's,
If they are low, they're at, nothing is below
Right,
what it should be. If they are low, they're at the base.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
there's a few that, although they've got some tenure, they're higher up in the
right,
higher, not higher.
In the scale.
But scale.
yeah,
They're at that base amount, the
right,
rate.
we're not underpaying anyone.
No.
right, yeah,
That's the key point.
The interesting thing is we included the library in this.
yeah, I
study.
saw that, yeah.
We had difficulty finding, she had difficulty finding comparisons because most of them are districts, so it
Oh.
was very skewed.
Rather than city libraries, yeah.
So what we ended up doing with that is reaching out to some libraries around my area over in Roscoe and looking
Oh,
at
sure,
some of those salaries, and we found some pretty good comparables there.
oh, good.
That one is low
Yeah.
over there. They're low.
Oh, we're very
Even
low.
compared to
Yeah.
other municipalities or other communities our size that aren't districts.
Oh, yeah,
they're low.
we're very low, yeah, yeah. I've talked to Karen about that a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
So,
Well, yeah, and what I explained to her is, well, that's fine, but trying to hire somebody for your job.
Oh, it's gonna bite us in the,
yes.
We need to be
for next
That's
prepared.
gonna
time,
have to be
which is
closely
right
looked
Yeah.
around the corner.
Yeah, exactly, like
She's
December,
well
right?
aware too.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
talked
she-
to her about
yeah.
it, so she knows.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
all I have on that for now
Okay.
until we have the presentations.
So will we have that on the committee agenda next month?
No, we're gonna have it at council, and I actually, I'm pretty sure it's June. I've got her at the beginning of the
Oh, tomorrow or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I
pretty
thought,
sure it is,
Oh.
but don't quote me on it. I'll double check and let you know.
we'll know Friday when
She
the
was ready to
agenda.
roll.
Oh, was she?
So,
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was just.
I wasn't in that last meeting, so.
Yeah, and she's gonna do that near the beginning of the meeting so that we can get that. So,
Oh, good.
and if there's any questions, there's.
Okay. Number 9, declare surplus property. Can go to council. Looked like a lot of computer stuff.
A lot of
Who was
computer
replacing?
So we had a bunch of blue screens of death happen. And a lot
What?
of, yes, a lot of these computers are about the same vintage.
Yeah.
Our computers were all replaced in 2019, and 5 of them, all within a week's time, actually died on us. And
Wow.
so we replaced all of those, and we will be talking about budgeting for the remainder of those 2019, should they last, at the next budget workshop.
Wow. Okay. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so strategic vision, I don't think there's much point in talking about strategic vision tonight. It would be good, to do that with the full committee here, since I'm the only carryover from, for the committee. For
the committee, yeah.
So to talk about that. Any new business?
Have no new business.
John?
No,
No?
I don't have any business at all.
I actually did want to just report back, Ruby started calling those residents who report high on their water readings.
Okay.
Time those readings are done. She's been pulling that report and calling. It's been going well. There's been a few were notified, but then when they got the bill, actually ended up calling and asking if we could waive those fees. They did have leaks.
Okay.
We have told them, no, we can't just
Yeah.
waive fees, and they had been notified previously, so, we are doing payment plans to work with those
Okay.
people. There were a couple of pretty large ones. But that's been going well, and she's been real diligent
Oh, great. Oh, good.
We're also gonna be adding, verbiage to the water bills, the next billing cycle, just something that stays on there that says, you know, you are responsible for leaks in your home and for water bills that are a result of those leaks, maybe recommend turn water off.
Right,
So,
yeah,
just so that people are aware.
right. Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Sure, well, can we do a
The only-
motion with a?
Yeah.
We
without
just
a
end the
quorum?
meeting.
Okay, that's right.
Exactly.
There's no real meeting, right?
I
So,
know, we weren't really
yeah,
here.
Okay, no.